I want to bring in Fred Guttenberg. His 14-year-old daughter, Jamie, was murdered in the mass shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida in 2018, which is how I met you, Fred. And if I'm exhausted, you must be enraged and sick of this. Exhausted? So I'm going to let you talk.
No, listen, I'm exhausted. I'm enraged. I appreciate you laying it out the way you just did, Joy. My daughter should just be finishing up her freshman year at college. I spent the past year watching all of her friends post the best year of their life. My daughter wasn't a part of it. And, you know, you read the names of all those beautiful children and you read their age, 10, 10, 10. But the thing is, it's forever 10. My daughter is forever 14. Every dream, every hope, every expectation that I could have had for her was the slaughter. You are 100% correct, because I sent her to school.
Yeah.
And listen, as anyone who follows me knows, I'm very active on social media. Joy, I can't find new pictures to use. You know, now that may not sound like such a big deal, but it is. There's no new memories, no new pictures, no new videos. I won't get to watch her graduate college. I didn't get to watch her graduate high school. I won't see her get married because of the failure of legislators to do anything. And I want to be super clear, and I am glad you said this is a political issue, because, you know, President Biden, being the decent human being that he is, last night talked about we. Why are we doing this? We are not. That's 90% of the American people want this fixed. The House of Representatives is passing legislation. The president has said he will sign it. 50 members of the Senate will sign legislation. So it is not we. Let's be clear on who it is. It is a very contained, small group. The common thread in the death of all of these children over all of these years has been Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. And let's be clear, and I don't want to let anyone in Texas off the hook, because what they've been doing there, they've been making that a battleground for the loosening of gun restrictions, so that there's more sales. In Texas, you now don't know who buys a weapon. There's no requirement for the permits. You don't know what their intention is. You don't know where the weapon goes. But what we do know is they're having a lot of mass shootings there. And so, you know, Ted Cruz, stay home, shut up. You're going to go to the NRA convention on Friday because that's who you are.
Yeah.
Abbott, you're going to go on Friday because that's who you are. The kids don't matter to you. The voters don't matter to you. The question is, why are you part of that group of 50 that refuses to protect life, that refuses to protect our kids?
And, you know, Fred, the thing is, I will revise one thing that I said about that this is who we are, because you're right. This is who they are. But what I worry about and what frightens me, you know, Columbine took place in the state where I grew up in Colorado. And we thought that was the most shocking thing we had ever heard. Oh, they're shooting in schools? What? You know, it made the administrators where I lived, it was a little suburban town, think, should we get metal detectors? In my little suburban town, a totally safe town. Columbine was a totally safe town. So if it could happen there, we were thinking, okay, something's going to happen, and then nothing happened. What scares me, and I want to know if this is what scares you, is that they are ghouls. They have there's no bottom. There's no amount of blood and carnage that's going to move Greg Abbott. That little pretend compassion he did today, you saw who they really were when Beto O'Rourke walked in the room, when they started snarling like the Confederates, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's who they are. Yep. They don't care about death. But I worry that the rest of us have taken the anesthetic, that we're just living, we're willing to live under their tyranny, because the rest of us are not actively willing to remove them from being in charge of us. 90% of us are living under the tyranny of 10%. How do we stop that?
We stop being weak. Honestly, we've given them the platform. We've given them the oxygen to do what they do, and we now need to deprive them of it. You talked about Columbine. I'm not gonna go as far back, because to me, there is a defining moment that brought us to where we are today, and it was 4 days after Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
When Wayne LaPierre went out, and his response to Sandy Hook was, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That line had never been said before.
Yeah.
That was the first time. And they have used that line to bring us to the place where we are today. Over the course of those years, they've talked about, we can't do anything now to change this because a slippery slope. But the truth is, since that line was uttered, we have been on a slippery slope where gun sales, heck, when Jamie was killed, 300 million weapons in America. Now, 400 million. We are on a slippery slope, and it's taking the lives of our kids. And so you know what? I say, screw you, Ted Cruz and Governor Abbott. You want this fight? I'm done talking to you. I'm done trying to reason with you. You are who you are. You are as low of a human being as can be. We will fire you. And that's what we need to do. I am not buying into the conventional wisdom of the next election. I think if we keep fighting and giving people a reason to vote, we will have presidential year turnout, and we will be okay.
Yeah.
But we have to give them a reason to vote, which is why Senator Schumer announcing today that there will be votes on gun safety measures, which 90% of the American people want, is a big deal. Because even if it fails, now the sides are clear.
All they've done in these states, including Florida, including Texas, is make it easier.
Yeah.
I mean, Donald Trump is going to go to that convention. Is he going to brag about the fact that under his presidential administration, they made it easier for people with mental health, with adjudicated mental health problems, to buy a firearm? They made it easier. So they want to lie and say this is about mental health. Well, then why did y'all make it easier for people with mental health issues to buy a gun? That's what you did. They've made it so that you don't even, the person who killed and slaughtered these people in Uvalde, and the person who killed your daughter and those beautiful kids in Florida, right, at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, could not have rented a car because they're not 25, and they won't pass a law. They won't do anything to stop them. They're just making it easier for them to do it again.
It was one of the first things he did as president. Okay, was to loosen the restrictions on those with mental illness buying a gun. But one of the even more treacherous things that he did was during COVID, calling gun shops essential businesses, because it led to this massive surge and the surge in violence we're seeing now. And so, listen, they did all that. They did. And we have to now live with the consequences of that. But, you know, those who won't say mental health. 2/3 of all gun deaths are suicide. So there is a real factor there. We've got to be honest about it and deal with it. However, when it comes to homicide, it's typically the mentally, those with mental health issues, the gun is likely to be used on them. What I would say to this is those who want to talk mental health and not about the access to the gun, ask them what their plan is. They don't have one. It's a BS issue for them so that you and I don't talk about this. But guess what? For the next 7 months, we will be talking about this because, unfortunately, Joy, the next shooting is already being planned.
Yeah, it will happen again. I want to give you an opportunity, unfortunately, this is, the mothers of the movement, they call themselves the sorority that they never wanted to join. And you are in a fraternity that you never pledged and didn't want to join. But now that there are so many other members of this tragic, awful fraternity and these tragic, awful sororities of parents who have to do the unnatural, bury their children. It is unnatural.
Yep.
Can you give them some advice on what happens now? How do they deal with the deluge of publicity, of reporters in their face, of having to explain, as you do, their tragedy? What are they about to go through?
Focus on your families. Be with those you love. A lot of hugs. Make sure you eat. Make sure you drink. I say that because the truth is, my wife and I have no idea when we ate, how my son ate. But I know people were there making sure we did and making sure that there was food and resources there for us. This country needs to step up and make sure that community has those resources right now, because people aren't going to be thinking about going to the supermarket.
Right.
But I would tell those families right now, your world is spinning. It's about getting through the seconds and the minutes. It's not about looking ahead a month from now, a week from now. Get through today. You have a funeral to plan. You have law enforcement issues to deal with, and you have children who need you, and you will need your children.
Yeah.
And so focus on the now. I will be there for you later.